In the post-independence period, in the first 3 decades after achieving independence, the Indian economy grew only at 3.5%. With population growing at that time at 2% per annum, the per capita income was growing only at 1.5%. In the 1980s, there was a pickup, and the growth rate of the economy was about 5.2%. But then it collapsed in 91-92 when the economy grew at only 1.6%, showing that the policies that were being pursued in the late 1980s were not sustainable. As I mentioned earlier, that the Indian economy grew at 8.3% for on an average over the 7 years beginning 2005-6, and the per capita income increased by 7% per annum. But I do know that many people and many business journalists are here are wondering whether the high 9% rate of growth that we saw between 2005-6 and 2007-8, whether we will ever recapture it. And there has been great concern by the fact that while the Indian economy recovered from the international financial crisis fairly quickly, in 2008, 2009-10 and 2010-11, the Indian economy grew at 8.4%. But in 2011-12, the Indian economy grew at 6.5%. And many people think that perhaps in the current year, the Indian economy will grow only a little less than 6%. We need to understand why this is happening. Because we need to achieve a high growth rate in our economy of 8 to 9%. There are a number of factors in 2011-12 which contributed to it. Certain output fell, like coal and other mineral products. But more importantly, the investment sentiment was affected by a variety of factors, not only economic, but more importantly, non-economic. In fact, one question that people very often ask is, what is the potential rate of growth of the Indian economy? Can we really grow at 8 to 9%? I have to give you a little arithmetic. The growth rate of the economy is really the investment rate of the economy divided by what we call the incremental capital output ratio. In 2007-8, the domestic savings rate of this economy, of the Indian economy, was 36% of the GDP, and the investment rate was 38%. And the incremental capital output ratio was 4:1, and therefore 38% investment rate gave us something like 9.5% rate of growth. But since then, the investment rate has fallen by 3.5 to 4 percentage points. And therefore, if we have to get back to the high growth path, we need to raise the savings rate, we need to raise the investment rate. I said I cannot resist talking about economics, but I will not go very much beyond this, except to say that if we have to achieve the high growth path, we need to address immediately 3 major macroeconomic concerns. One is to term the inflation, the other is to ensure fiscal consolidation, and the third is to reduce the current account deficit. Each one will take a long time to discuss. I will leave it there. But there are 2 major sectors of the economy which need to be addressed. One is agriculture, and the other is infrastructure, more particularly power. The last 2-3 years have clearly shown that how even a small shortfall in agricultural production can cause serious distortions in the economy. The inflation that we have been seeing for the last 24 to 36 months has been primarily due to the shortfall in agricultural production. And therefore, we need to focus attention on it from the point of view of reducing poverty, from the point of view of ensuring regional balance, and from the point of view of food security. We need to ensure that Indian agriculture grows at 4% per annum. And this is, and also we need to see that the basket of goods that we produce, even in agriculture, must also change according to the demand pattern. I don't know whether many of you recall or not, towards the end of 2010 and early 2011, the entire inflation in the country was caused by 65% increase in the price of vegetables for 3 months in a row. Therefore, what is needed is not only an increase in agriculture, but also a change in the composition of agriculture. The second is the development of infrastructure, but more particularly the power sector. Power shortage has become very acute. I don't have to say this to people in Chennai or to people in Tamil Nadu. But this is a phenomenon that is being seen elsewhere in the country also. In the 11th plan period, we did 1.5 times what we did in the 10th plan in terms of capacity creation, but even then we have fallen short of the target. We need to address this issue. We must understand, China adds in 1 year, in terms of capacity creation in power, what we add in 5 years. That is a magnitude of difference between India and China. I know there are issues, availability of coal, land acquisition, environmental concerns. We must address all of these things. I will end with only one note. Only if India grows between 8 to 9% per annum, India's per capita GDP will grow from the current level of $1,600 to $8,000 to $10,000 by 2025. And then only India will graduate from being a low-income country to a middle-income country.